Welcome to the Armani Talks YouTube channel. I'm your host, Armani Talks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills in order for you to level up your way with words and become much more articulate. In today's episode, we're entering the world of social skills, and I'm going to be sharing how to network for dummies. I'm sure throughout your life, you've heard that networking is important. Different people have told you that shaking hands with the right people is a crucial skill set in order to elevate in a certain field. But you're one of those technical people. Some advice like shake hands with the right people is not technical enough for you. You're someone that wants processes, frameworks, and systems that you can consistently replicate towards success. But let's say you're not even that technical. Let's say you're a dummy. As a dummy, what you want is something even more simple. You don't want all these processes, frameworks, and systems. What you want is a parallel. You want to see how networking in itself matches a field that you are well versed in, which will help you cross-combine principles from this world into this world. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing in today's episode. I'm going to be sharing how making money is very similar to networking. And once you see this parallel that's taking place, you are not going to be able to unsee it. And as a dummy, you are now going to be able to network with confidence, clarity, and swag. If you're ready and excited for today's episode, go on and drop that like for me right on below. There was this man named Johannes. Johannes was roughly 35 years old, and at this stage in his life, he was living in the nice part of New York, Manhattan. He was working a great job, making tons of money. And with a lot of the money that he was making, he was investing some of it in his brother's company. His older brother, his name was Gunther. Gunther was roughly 38 years old. And what Gunther did was that he owned a whole bunch of websites, and routinely different investors would give him money to make these websites profitable. He'd get a certain return and he'd pay out his investors monthly. And his younger brother, Johannes, just happened to be one of the investors. But that's where the relationship for these two brothers ended. Johannes and Gunther were strictly business. They didn't talk about personal lives too much. Johannes, despite making so much money, living in the nice part in New York, felt lonely. He was 35 years old, yet he didn't have one single friend. For most people in his world, they were business, but no friends. And he was pretty surprised because his older brother Gunther made pretty much the same amount of money as him, was more busy in the day, but had a lot of friends. Why the separateness from these two? Johannes decides that he's going to do something about this. On this particular weekend, he's going to break the streak of talking simply business with his brother. And today, he's going to ask him about his personal life. So he calls on the weekend. Gunther sees his little brother is calling and is thinking, it's the weekend. He never calls me on the weekend. Is everything good? So he answers the phone, a tad bit worried, and asks his little brother, is everything good? At this point, Johannes is second guessing himself. He doesn't want to seem like a loser to his older brother, but he decides he's going to ask him anyways. Gunther, look, I want to ask you a personal question today. You are 38 years old, you're working a lot, yet you have a powerful network. While me, on the other hand, I'm making almost the same amount of money as you, but I don't have a powerful network. I want this network like you. What do you do to make this happen? That's when Gunther responds back with something a little fortune cookie-like. He said, little bro, making a network is identical to making money. I'm going to call you back in 30 days and see if you understand what I'm speaking about. Then he hangs up. Johannes is at this point more confused than he was before. What does this mean? Making a network is like making money? Nah, man, I don't get it. So for the next couple of days, he decides to keep brainstorming on this idea. And the more that he brainstorms and tries to critically think in regards to it, the more confused that he's getting. After 1 week passes by, he decides that he's no longer going to keep thinking about this idea. And instead, what he's going to do is what he's always done. He's going to work. He decides that he's going to pull up the Meetup app on his phone, which shows a lot of the local events which are being hosted around the area. And he's going to attend one of these events. He goes through it and he sees that there's a meditation meetup that's happening later on that day, right by him. And he's going to go. So he goes to the event, he meets a few different people, and he meets the leader of this meetup event. It's this bald-headed man in his 60s, and you could tell he's very happy to see Johannes because he sees potential in Johannes. They talk, and the bald-headed man asks Johannes, "Will you be back next week?" Johannes thinks about it and he says, "Sure, I'll be back next week." Next week, he's back. He goes through the entire event. But for this week, the bald-headed man pulls him to the side and he says, "Johannes, next week I'm going to be out of town. I need you to lead the meeting." Johannes thinks, "Man, this is only my second meeting. This guy's already asking me to lead." But Johannes has always been a doer. So he accepts without hesitating. Next week, he's the person that's greeting all these different people that are coming in. He's introducing different people, and he is leading the meeting. Once the meeting is wrapping up, the bald-headed man texts him and says that he's going to be gone for 1 more week, and he needs Johannes to lead for the next meeting as well. Johannes agrees. At this point, he's meeting a lot of different people. At this point, next week, as he's about to get ready for this meditation meeting, he gets a call. He gets a call from this one number that he doesn't recognize. He picks it up and asks, "Who is this?" And it seems like a nervous man who's like, Are you Johannes?" Johannes says, "Yeah, it's me. Who are you?" The guy says, "Hey, I got your number from Lacey in the Meetup meditation app that you host. I wanted to attend today and I wanted to know the directions. I hear that you're quite the popular guy in this meeting." Johannes thinks, "Me? The popular guy? Well, yeah, what do you need to know?" And at this point, him and this guy, who he's never met before, are talking, interacting. And at this point, this guy is capable of being a great business connect for Johannes. Later on, once he's in the meeting, this random mystery man that called him bought 3 other friends, and this mystery man introduces 3 more people to Johannes. At this point, people are coming up to Johannes. He feels like the king of the meditation meeting. And the idea that his brother Gunther gave him is starting to make sense. 30 days are up. Gunther calls his little brother Johannes and says, "Little bro, it's been 30 days. Did you finally understand the idea that I gave you 30 days back?" Johannes says, "Yes. After our initial call, what happened was I spent a few days trying to think about what your idea was trying to say, but I didn't quite get it. But later on, what happened was I started to attend this meditation meeting. I was physically going there a lot. And as I was physically going there, more of the people started to recognize me. More of the people started to see that I was a person of authority within this meeting. And later on, what started to happen was that people I never met were being told about me, and now they were introducing their pals to me. So the reason that this ties into money is because in my job, where I'm making a lot of earned income, I'm trading my mind, my body, and my time for this earned income. And then what I do is I get some of that earned income and I give it to you with your little website business to give me passive income, earned and passive. Likewise, I go to these meditation meetings. I do a whole bunch of leading the meetings, earned time. But once I leave, these people are still talking about me. They're finding other people who will benefit from knowing me. And now a passive income stream of people are now being introduced. The parallels are stunning. Gunther says, "You got it, little bro," and he hangs up. That was the day that Johannes learned that there was a stunning insight between money and building a network. And that's what you may learn from Johannes and Gunther's story as well. The thing is, there's going to be certain activities that are earned networking activities where you have to actually show up. And there's certain particular events for online and offline that you want to think about. Offline, it can be physically going to these networking events that are being hosted around your area. Maybe a meetup event, maybe a BNI event, maybe a Toastmasters event. And likewise, similar stuff happens with online, such as recording a YouTube video, writing that tweet, creating that blog on LinkedIn. Those are the earned time. But that's when something magical starts to happen over time. It doesn't immediately happen, but it happens over time, where people that you met in BNI, Meetup, Toastmasters, they start remembering you and they start referring other people to you, saying, "Hey, you should know this guy." Or the remix to that for the online world is some people share your old YouTube videos on Facebook, where they introduce you to their friends. They retweet your tweet on their timeline to their followers. Now a passive stream is being forced. Now, what we have to understand from all of this is that this is something that is directly within our control, where we can physically go. And this is something that is a little bit more faith-based. But if we do our duty right within the earned state, that's when the passive becomes a byproduct over time. This is something that we'll know the effects of immediately. This is something that takes some time. When you are a farmer, for example, you plant the seed, you consistently keep watering it, and over time, the flower starts to grow. That's the passive income mindset, passive networking stream as well. It's the farmer's mentality. While when we're doing the earned, that's when we have that hunting mentality. We're showing up, and for each interaction, we're giving it more than they were initially expecting. So hopefully you're getting a little bit of understanding as to how to form a network. And if you didn't, let me just give you one final recap. The reason that networking is similar to making money is because with money, there's earned and then there's passive. Likewise, with networking, there's earned networks and passive networks. For the earned, we have the hunting mentality. We are showing up. We're trading our time and mind at that present moment, and we're exceeding expectations. And over time, we switch to the farming mentality. We're planting that seed, and now these different people will share our names to others. That's how a network builds over time, and that is how you build a powerhouse tribe. If you want more practical insights like this into the world of social skills, be sure to check out the Charisma King, which further details how to build a social circle, how to create compelling conversation so you are exceeding expectations, and how you can actively listen so you're remembering the small details which will allow you to stick out. Grab a copy of The Charisma King in the description box or the pinned comment right on below, or go on ArmaniTalks.com and grab your copy today. Thank you very much for joining the Armani Talks YouTube channel, and I will catch you on the next episode.